Welcome everybody, we're doing another video editing show, and let's jump in it. We are currently doing the outro to the Hobbit video. The note we wrote for ourselves is, want to cut the two outros together possibly. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. Thank you guys for joining on this video on our classic game review of The Hobbit. Now, if you haven't already, the channel you're watching right now is called Voice of Nick Vlogs. I do all sorts of stuff like this, game reviews, looks around my studio, all sorts of things behind the scenes of my streams. So give this YouTube channel a subscribe if you have not already. Leave a comment in the comment section if you have played the Hobbit game and what you thought of it, or if you haven't, then what's your favorite part of the Hobbit that you're hoping is going to end up in the Hobbit game when you play it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. So I wanted to cut parts of this into it. Thank you everybody for watching this classic game review of The Hobbit. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on this YouTube channel. I've done game reviews before on here. We sort of do all sorts of stuff. Give it a look, see if you like it. Hopefully you do. And hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you've played the Hobbit game yourself. And I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. We'll just use the second one. Done. Okay, so now we go to... The assembly edit is 8 minutes long, and now we start shedding unnecessary things now that the assembly is put together. So this will be the second round of cuts. Then the third round is where we start putting in the B-roll. Welcome Narg into the stream. Let's get an exclamation mark high for Narg joining the show. You found one of our secret streams, not advertised on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Discord, any of our platforms. The only way to find it is by stumbling onto it, and you've certainly stumbled onto it. Welcome in. We are editing videos for our YouTube channel. This one is a review of the Hobbit video game. Have you ever heard of the Hobbit video game? From 2003, this was from Sierra Entertainment, right around the time the Lord of the Rings movies came out. Well, I played it, and I gotta say, it's pretty good. We'll do all the fine-tune edits on the next round. So first of all, big shout out to Decaf Bossman, who sent over the copy of the Hobbit game to be played on our streams. I am a big Tolkien fan, so I really enjoyed playing through this one. The story behind this, it's not based on Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. It's not based on the 1970s Rankin Bass cartoon of The Hobbit. Sierra, I guess, had the rights to the Tolkien estate's works. So not to the movie licensing, which Warner Brothers had, but rather they had the actual book licensing. So they went ahead and made their own adaptation of The Hobbit. The game is kind of fit into the mold of a late 90s, early 2000s platformer. You don't really think about Bilbo doing that much jumping, but it works pretty well in this one, especially the fact that they incorporate his signature walking stick into the jumping. You can do like a large jump while using the walking stick. It feels really good. It actually does feel really authentic to his character. I guess that works. This part might need something in it. You don't really think about... What do we have on here? Cartoon of The Hobbit. This is actually a unique adaptation when the third Lord of the Rings film came out. And Sierra, I guess, owned the rights, or they had the rights to the Tolkien estate's works. So not to the movie licensing, which Warner Brothers had, but rather they had the actual book licensing. So they went ahead and made their own adaptation of The Hobbit, which strangely came out after their adaptation of Fellowship of the Ring. I guess there's two studios working on that. One was faster than the other. But it's their own unique take on the story. It actually has some really interesting adaptational ideas. And let's go through it. Let's take a look at the Hobbit game. Yeah, all that stuff is not needed. And then... So the style of this game is very cartoonish, which I guess fits with the kind of feeling of the story itself. The Hobbit's kind of more of a happy-go-lucky story than Lord of the Rings, and the game is kind of fit into the mold of a early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s platformer, which is sort of exactly what you would want the Hobbit to be. You don't really think about Bilbo doing that much jumping, but it works. No, I didn't really say anything else that would make it a better edit. 2000s platformer. You don't really think about... Maybe we can get rid of a couple of frames here, though. Platformer. You don't really think about early 2000s platformer. You don't really think about 90s, early 2000s platformer. You don't really think about Bilbo 90s, early 2000s platformer. You don't really think about Bilbo. That's fine. We don't need to make the edit completely perfect because there will be a music bed, so any small hitches in like the way that the sound is cut like that, it'll be covered by the music. What are you up to today though, T-Narg, or Narg? What's your day looking like? They actually do expand on the storyline in a few key ways. One of the things that I thought was really great, the opening sequence, you know, they actually choose to start the story in a flash forward. Bilbo's dreaming about what might happen during the opening cutscene when he meets the dwarves. The first playable sequence is actually the Battle of the Five Armies. So you get into the game, it's kind of that screenwriting thing of like make the first opening of the movie, the first 10 pages, the most exciting part of the movie so people want to keep watching. They definitely get in there with the biggest moment of The Hobbit, and I thought that was a really good choice. Going forward from that, you're actually in Hobbiton, and what I love about this is it's a pretty sprawling, open version of Hobbiton. There's a lot of life, there's a lot of things going on. You can do different missions for the people around town, you can meet the different dwarves. While it's not an open world, the entirety of Hobbiton is accessible, so it's fun to just walk around and jump on all the buildings and talk to people and stuff. It feels very alive. A lot of these red zones, too, are just going to go straight into the next section, but we're just leaving space for them anyway. Another sequence that I really enjoyed their interpretation of was Gollum's Cave. So in the Hobbit story, you know, Bilbo and the dwarves kind of get... Is this frozen? Gollum's Cave. So in the Hobbit story, you know, Bilbo and the dwarves kind of get taken in to the mountain, and Bilbo gets knocked on the head at one point, and is kind of out, and he ends up in Gollum's Cave. But in the game, we have this whole extended sequence where Bilbo is exploring the network of tunnels and caves underneath the mountains, and he's freeing like captive dwarves and taking down the goblin chain of command, which I thought was kind of a cool way to interpret a sequence that doesn't necessarily have what you would imagine would be a lot of playable content in it. I don't think the riddling aspect of like the riddles in the dark chapter of this game, I don't think there actually is any riddling gameplay. It's all just kind of interpreted into this big open sprawling cave network that you can explore, which I thought was a pretty good way to handle it if you're going to make The Hobbit into a platformer. I think nowadays they probably could have done some kind of Mass Effect style choice system with riddles, but I don't know. I thought this totally fit the type of game they were making. Okay, good. There's nothing glaring that I think we would need to remove at this point. Plot King, welcome into the show. Let's get an exclamation mark high for Plot King joining the chat. You're saying long time no see, but I don't think I've ever at least seen you under this username before. Welcome in, Plot King, into the show. If it is from a different username, then I would have no way of knowing if I've ever seen you before. Welcome in, though. Thank you for the follow. It's a short, very short show, so we can't do our full follow thing, but welcome on in. Take the 20 meatballs that you get for following. Use it to buy yourself your very own Gollum's Cave. Enjoy your Gollum's Cave, and welcome into the community here. You found one of our secret streams, which is not advertised on any of our social platforms, and it lasts for about the wink of an eye's length of time. So welcome on in. Another thing that... We're editing our one of our YouTube videos. Another thing that I thought was a really cool adaptation concept was when you go to Lake Town, you start to uncover this conspiratorial plot to take down Lake Town itself, and you know, goblins trying to infiltrate Lake Town, and people double crossing and everything. I thought that was a really cool way to also turn the Lake Town sequence, which you wouldn't think it would have that much potential gameplay opportunities. It actually does end up having a lot of really cool sequences within it. Going further down the line, you of course end up in Smaug's cave, and that is what you come here to see in The Hobbit. Despite the fact that Smaug is not really the finale sequence of The Hobbit, I think for most people it is kind of the narrative high point of the book and kind of the most exciting part. and this game does it in a really good way. They actually turn it into a giant kind of labyrinth stealth sequence where Smaug is sleeping and you're trying to explore his cave and take all the different treasures and kind of jump up on the chandeliers and go above him and below him and all this stuff. Like, it's very vertical. It's actually really tense because you're trying not to make a lot of noise. There's like a noise meter of how much you're bothering him while he sleeps so you don't wake him up. It was really well done.
Yeah, that's a fine soundbite. We'll fix the timing of that later.
Of course, if you watched our live playthrough of the Hobbit game, we had a particular quirk where right around the point where we got to Smaug's cave, the game crashed. So, and I mean crashed in the sense that it corrupted our save file. So at that point, I was enjoying the game so much I didn't really mind. I just went back and on stream, we played the whole, 6 to 8 hours again on stream, basically did like a double playthrough of the opening of The Hobbit. Ended up getting even more secrets, finding even more story things, like finding extra hidden items and stuff. So I wasn't too upset about it, but it was kind of like one of those moments where your stomach drops out. You're like, oh man, that was my only save file. I lost it. Like, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, I enjoyed the game. I'm gonna keep playing it. Like, we're not gonna let that stop us. And I'm glad that we didn't. Being a platformer, obviously, in the early 2000s is big on collecting stuff. You want to just collect everything you can. Collectathons is what they call them. And they sort of turn the Hobbit story into a collectathon, where the way that they handle it is actually really smart, I thought. The concept is you start out with a certain amount of health pips at the beginning of the game, and then you're collecting these diamonds all along the ground that they call courage points, which essentially, as you get more of them, they fill up an XP meter, and then when you level up, you get more health bars on your character. That's pretty normal. But the way that the implications for the storyline, I thought were really smart. Like, as an adaptational concept, Bilbo, starting out in the Shire, doesn't have a lot of courage. That's the point of the Hobbit story. And as he goes further along in the story, as he does more adventuring and...
Good. All right, we're coming along. It's tough to watch 8 uninterrupted minutes of my face talking about the Hobbit game, but obviously there's going to be a lot of B-roll and clips and fun moments and stuff, so it won't be like watching what you're watching right now when you see the thing. That's going to do it for this one, everybody. If you don't know, you can find the YouTube channel where these videos get posted by going to Voice of Nick Vlogs on YouTube. That's our secondary YouTube channel where we have all edited content. The stuff actually gets edited live on stream. So everything you find on that channel, we already have 6 complete videos up on there, completely edited on our shows entirely. So you can find that by either searching Voice of Nick Vlogs on YouTube, or you can click the link in the Twitch chat right now. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.